So we talked a lot about the theory of Python. Let's now get into the details of Python while implementing subcode. First thing which we need while implementing a code is a text editor. A text editor is a software where you write the text. Code is also a text but with some context and with some syntax. There are a lot of text editor in the market. You can choose whatever you want. It's all your preference. In this session, we'll be using a VS Code. Why I use a VS Code is because of the code intelligence it provides. You might ask, what is a code intelligence? A code intelligence is a tool, a built-in tool in a VS Code is that, for example, when you write an HTML code, you start with an HTML tag and at the end we end the code with an ending HTML tag. So what a code intelligence provides is that while I'm writing the opening HTML tag, as soon as I create an opening HTML tag, it automatically writes the ending tag along with it so that I don't forget to write it. And also as it automatically adds the ending tag, I don't have to write it again. So it saves a lot of time. That's why I prefer using VS Code because of these features, but it's all open to you. You can choose whatever you want. It's just that you need a place where you can write some text and finally save it and give that file to the Python so that it can run. Okay, this was all about the text editors. Let's see how we can write a simple Hello World program in Python. On the right, we have the Hello World program for the Python. On the left, we have the same program. It does the same thing, but written in C++. As you can see, the program written in C++ took 10 lines, whereas in Python, we can do the same thing in just one line. So writing a code in Python is easy, and it's quite easy to understand and read the code. Let's see more on why there is so much difference in writing the code in C++ and Python. So the difference in these two languages starts from the type of languages they are. In general, there are two types of language. First is like the C++ and the other one is like the Python. In the C++, the code is compiled. That's why it's called a compiled language. Whereas in Python, there's a there is no compiler, there is an interpreter which interprets the code. So let's see what is the difference in compiled language and an interpreted language. The distribution of code in compiled language is something like you write a program, then you compile it using a compiler, then you get some different file, which is a compiled version of that code. Then you then if someone wants to run your code, you can give them the compiled version of your code and it can run in different platforms. But there's a trick that the compiler which compiled the C++ code needs to be same in all the places where you want to run this code. Whereas in Python, which is an interpreter language, you write a code in a text file. There's an interpreter which understands this text file. So when you give the interpreter your script or a code, this text file, it can run line by line on that text file or in that code file and understand the whole code. So if you want someone else to use your code, you can give them the script or a text file. So you write a script, distribute it, and anyone who have this file can use it and give it to interpreter, and the interpreter can run this program line by line. Next, we have written the Python code, the hello world Python code. We just saw it. It was just one line, print hello world. So now let's try to run this code. So to run this code, we first need a Windows PowerShell, or if you are in Ubuntu, you need a terminal, or in the Mac, you need the same, a terminal. So basically a place where you can command the Python to run some file. So to do that, we first need to go into the folder where our files are located. Let's say our files are somewhere in the desktop. We have a folder named Python 101. Then inside that Python 101 folder, we have some file which is like hello.py file, and there we want to run that hello world program. We use this cd command, which is nothing but stands for change directory. We first use this command to get to the location where our code is present. We use that cd program and went to the location or the directory where our code is present. Like in here, we are inside the Python 101 folder. After reaching inside this directory, we can command the Python interpreter to run a file using Python space, then the name of the file, which will include a .py in it. So the final command will be Python, then the name of the file, then .py. Something like this. Python hello world.py file. So whatever the code which we write inside this hello world.py file will now be interpreted, or the Python will run that code in this terminal here. So if we print something inside the hello world.py file, we can see the output inside this PowerShell or inside this terminal. To further develop an understanding of a language, we need to understand what are variables. You can imagine variables to be something like a box, and they have a name on that box. For example, if you want to store some food items, you might choose different type of boxes. If you are packing and going for a trip and you want to store your clothes, the box which you want to store your clothes will be different from the box which you'll use to store your lunch. So variables are something similar to boxes only, and they have some name inside it on the box, and each box is of different type which is used to save a different kind of thing. For example, we can have one box which only saves the number. Like there's a box and there's a name of the box is score, and inside this box there is a number present which is 35. So the variable is 35 and the name of this variable is score, and the type of box which we are saving is an integer type box, or we can say that the variable which we are using here is an integer type variable, in short int. Next we have is another type of number. The 35.1 is not an integer. So we use a different box to save this information. And these type of boxes are called float. The 35.1 is a real number. You can see this number on the real line. And to save these numbers, the real numbers, we use a float type of box. So for here, we have the name of the box to be score and the value present inside that box is 35.1. And the name of these types of box is a float. Next, we have a box which saves the name of things, like a name of a person, or a name of a fruit, or a name of a tree. Here we are saving a name of a person, for example, Bob. So we have a box which saves the name. These types of boxes are called strings, or you can say these types of variables are called strings, which can save the text. Everything which you are seeing on the screen is actually a text. So a string variable or a string box, you may say, can save a text file inside it. So name is the name of the variable and Bob is the value or the string saved inside that variable. Next, we can also save the information about true or false, or you can say a Boolean value. We can do this using a bool variable, or you can say a box which contains the bool information, which is true or false. The name of this box is winner and the type of information it's storing is a bool. Further, these boxes are actually, you can take the information from one box and put it inside the other box. This process is called typecasting, which means you can take a bool or a boolean information and can convert into a string information. Or you can say you can take the item which was kept inside a bool type of box and pick it up and put it inside the string type of box. Similarly, you can convert the string type of box information inside the string type of box into an int type of box or an integer type of box. Similarly for bool. And altogether, you can convert information in any kind of variable into another form. This is not restricted to any one particular form. That's why Python is called dynamic.